Welcome to both of you. Gerald, I want to start with you because you will recall North Carolina was sort of a cautionary tale for your state. In 2016, it lost nearly $4 billion in business after passing that anti-LGBTQ law. Should these major corporations in Georgia have actually spoken out earlier when the bill was being debated? Would it have made a difference really then?
Absolutely, they should have spoken out. They should have been fine corporate citizens and spoken for the millions of Georgians that will be affected by this suppressive and regressive voting bill here in Georgia. Many citizens have been protesting for the last 30 days to stop this bill, and everyone was silent. It was not until the bill passed and discussions about boycotts and actual boycotts taking place that the businesses started to speak. We have to remember that nothing is more than our voting rights. This is the birthplace of civil rights. We will defend our voting rights. And as our former representative and late Congressman John Lewis always said, the most powerful nonviolent weapon you have is the right to vote. In Georgia, we will not stand for voting rights to roll back. If corporations don't want to speak up for voting rights, they can expect an economic disruption.
Eric, you heard the president's statement there calling for a boycott of MLB and, quote, all of the woke companies that are interfering with free and fair elections. But before their announcements, to Gerald's point, activists were calling for boycotts of these companies for their silence on the matter. So which is louder? Do you see Coca-Cola and Delta backtracking now if they face this kind of heat from the far right?
I think so. I think it's perhaps here in Texas a little too late in terms of what's happening. We've already got legislation that's gone through the Senate, some things that are being looked at in the House, probably looking at a vote quickly in some of these voter suppressive bills in the House. So it's a situation where I do believe, unfortunately, maybe too little too late with respect to what's going on. And it's going to take the courts and the filing of lawsuits and civil rights lawsuits to stop some of the things that are happening here in the state of Texas.
And to be honest, it's going to take the Congress to actually pass a voting rights bill at the end of the day to stop or repeal some of this from happening, I think, as well. Gerald, you represent the state representative there in Georgia, Park Cannon, who, of course, was arrested, was caught on camera banging on Governor Kemp's door during the bill signing ceremony. I was watching her on Joy Reid's show the other night, and she simply says, this is America and we have to keep knocking. How will she plan on continuing to knock? Where does the movement go from there?
I think the movement will continue. We will continue to knock. And I do want to correct you. She was not banging. She was knocking. We need to make sure that we protect voting rights. We need to make sure we support Park Cannon because she stood up for voting rights. We have to make sure that individuals will not be silenced, will not be suppressed merely for trying to be present and provide transparency. The governor should have signed that bill in front of every single citizen of Georgia like he does every single other bill. But he's ashamed of what's in that bill. He's ashamed of what was previously in that bill. And let's be clear, it's a voter suppression bill. It always has. Just because some of the provisions were removed because of the protest does not make it any better. We need to make sure our elected officials understand that voting suppression should not be the number one thing here in Georgia. If we wanted to stay the number one state for business, we need to be the number one state for voting. And so they need to understand that it was a historic election, both in November and January, and that the citizens of Georgia are watching and they are ready to vote. They're conscious and to make sure that their democracy is protected by voting in mass numbers. November can't come fast enough.
And Eric, I got to be really quick here, but you represent Latino voters and empowerment. Now, a lot has been said about this disenfranchising brown and black voters. But how do these bills disenfranchise the Latino community?
I think, quite honestly, a lot of the bills here in Texas have been focused on affecting those urban areas. And urban areas are where Latinos and people of color live. Here in the state of Texas, they've been pinpoint accurate in terms of disenfranchising those folks in the urban areas, limiting the number of hours that you can vote in early voting, limiting mail-in ballots. All of those things that we utilized during the pandemic to bring people out, they're discouraging. So we're going to see longer lines and, unfortunately, the disenfranchisement of people of color. And it's an incredibly unfortunate thing. And people need to wake up to the realities of what's happening.
All right, we'll leave it there. Appreciate you guys. Gerald Griggs and Eric Cedillo. Thank you.